Hey, welcome everybody to the Culturalist podcast, Conversations with Pam Ross. I am Pam Ross, and today's guest is brilliant. Listen to this title. She is a creative catalyst and a confidence coach. Her name is Olivia Arnold, and her company is emergewithliv.com. That's her website, but it's Emerge Consulting Firm. And she also has an organization called A Bolder Woman. We had a fantastic conversation hearing her story of getting laid off in corporate America and celebrating the layoff, and how it just kind of led her on the roller coaster ride that is entrepreneurship, but then also her finding her passion. And really, what you're about to hear is a story of convergence when your gifts, your passion, your calling all come together. And it comes together not just for your good, but for the good of everybody you serve. So stay tuned to this fantastic conversation with Olivia Arnold. We talk about imposter syndrome. We talk about how do you know if your confidence is low? You're going to be able to self-diagnose and get the help you need. Check it out. Thanks for checking out our podcast today. Hi, I'm Pam Ross, the Culturalist. I love good conversations with interesting people. In this podcast, we use the art of conversation to explore what's happening in culture. Thanks for joining us. Hello, Miss Olivia. How are you?
Hello, I am so excited. I'm well. I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. You know what? It's a lovely day here in the Midwest. And so I'm really hoping I'm going to get some golf in today. I did not golf last week.
Okay.
And I think it's like it's becoming my therapy. So
Yeah.
I'm believing that somehow this week, I have to travel this week. So I'm
Yeah.
really hoping. I checked my flight. I don't leave until like 4 o'clock. So I
Okay.
thought I might even like go golf and then come home and grab my bag and go.
Whatever it takes, right?
Yeah,
Whatever it takes.
whatever it takes, because
That's so
our mental health is so worth it. I'm so happy to meet you and to have this discussion with you. I love brilliant people. And so what I'm hearing about you is that you're absolutely brilliant and that we share some of the same passions.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, regarding identity, regarding confidence, and confidence for the right reasons.
Yes.
Yeah. And so even in reading your bio and our intro, this idea of being a creative catalyst and a confidence coach, can we start with some definitions? Can you tell me what is a creative catalyst? Because I
Yes.
love that phrase.
Absolutely. So thank you. Thank you again for having me on this show. I'm excited to be here. But yes, Creative Catalyst. I help my clients who are sometimes they are in the incubator stage of developing their ideas. And so I believe the word catalyst is somebody that helps push things forward. I help cultivate it. I help them birth it. And so
Yeah.
whatever their ideas are, even sometimes their ideas are small. And so I'm like, wait a minute, that idea is too small. I see bigger. And so
Yes.
I'm actually walking with them to help bring that idea to fruition. I'm helping them birth
Mhm.
the idea out, and I'm not letting them sleep on them. I'm not letting it be aborted. I'm not letting the enemy try to talk them out of it. I'm just, listen, we're just going to push that thing forward. And so
I love it.
that's what I do as a creative catalyst.
I love it. And you know what? It's so super needed because God always gives us an idea that's God sized.
Yeah.
And we have sounding boards around us, people that know us and love us, but sometimes those people that know us and love us are they want to keep us safe,
Yeah. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And so they will kind of help you downsize or talk yourself out of it or wait till you're absolutely sure. And so to have someone like you who is pushing for the vision to come to pass
Yeah.
is super important, and I know it's probably something that you enjoy. Has there what do you think is the hardest part about bringing an idea from really just a thought into actually seeing it manifest?
Um, I think the hardest thing is helping my clients see outside of the box.
Mm.
Because I think it's so easy to see ourselves against other people, and we're
Yep.
comparing ourselves up against what other people are doing. And so we want to
Hmm.
do it that way because we think with the way that the guru said to do it is the way we're supposed to do it. And so
Yes.
I have to begin to help them see, you have something unique to your identity. There's a way that you're wired. There's a way that you are function to do things. So we don't have to do it like that. That might be a
Yeah.
template, but it's not a mold. I mean, it's not, it's not the actual, thing that you actually
Yeah.
have.
It may not be the blueprint for
Right.
you.
Thank you. That it may not be the blueprint. And so allowing them or helping them to see outside the box and trying to identify what they have in their hands is probably the biggest thing that I have to struggle with.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that makes sense. Now I see the link. Now I see, and as it's written for me, it's an ampersand. And
Yeah.
so now I see the ampersand of being a creative catalyst and a confidence coach, because do you find that as you're helping them push their dream, you're also the dreamer has to gain some confidence.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. That's probably I accidentally stumbled into that
Yeah,
aspect. People always have talked about my confidence my entire life, right?
really now.
Yes, and so even at my lowest moments, they're like, "You just are confident." I'm like, "Am I?" Like, I'm just being me. I'm just
Wow.
being me. And people always would come to me either for clothing, because I also do consulting, like fashion styling consulting
Hmm.
too. They would always come to me for those things, and I'm like, I'm just being Olivia. I don't know how to be anybody else. And so I just kind of stumbled in the confidence piece. I am very passionate about it. And I'm like, listen, you have it. So I'm always trying to instill that in my clients, is that you have
That's
it.
brilliant. I want to
Yeah,
hear your story because I know that you were in corporate America and you moved, you left that place.
yeah,
I do a lot of consulting and leadership development for not for profits and churches.
yeah,
And one of the ways to get my goat and have me pull out my soapbox is when a leader tells their pastor, well, in corporate America, and they,
yeah,
and my response to that is always, we appreciate you bringing professional systems,
yeah.
processes, all of
Mhm.
that. Bring those things, bring everything you know. However, let us not exalt corporate America as if they operate in righteousness.
Absolutely.
They operate in mammon. Let's just be honest.
That's it. That really is.
Money, the bottom line is what it's about, right?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
let's not say, come on, this is the home of the golden parachute. This is the home of the Me Too movement. This is the home of the come on now. Come on. Let's just, and so they're gonna get my boxing gloves out.
Okay.
And I appreciate levels of professionalism and that
Yeah,
type of thing,
for
but
sure.
let us not pretend that corporate America is about anything other than money.
Yeah.
And that's fine. If you're in business to make money, I tell folks, go ahead. Some of those folks are my best sponsors and I love it. But the Lord led you out of there into your company, Emerge Consulting Firm, and a
Yeah.
bolder woman. So it works
Yeah.
together with the creative catalyst and
Yes.
the confidence coach. So you want to tell me a little bit about your journey? I love to hear people's stories.
Yes, 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 yes. I feel like I'm always the person asking, but I love to actually tell it because it could have only been God. I'll just say that.
Mm,
And so oh God, probably about 2016 or so. I remember I was like just getting back into the Lord. Had just left out of a crazy lifestyle, 20 years of just a whole nother lifestyle.
oh,
And
wow.
um yeah. And I just came in strong. Like, Lord, I'm here. Here I am, right?
Yes.
So I would sit at my desk in corporate America. I had been working in corporate since 2007. I'm sorry, 20, longer than that, but this particular business or company I was working with since 2007, sorry.
Hmm.
And I would sit at my desk and I just was hearing God, and he kept talking about, I have more for you. I got more for you. And I'm like, what you got?
Wow.
Right. And so
Okay.
And I wasn't in a church in that moment. So like me hearing God had really just been a walk that I had to begin to cultivate, right? I mean, even when I was
Wow.
in that lifestyle, I had beginning to hear him very, very clearly. And so I was sitting there at the cubicle and I started writing books on paradigm shifting, shifting your paradigm. And I'm like, what right
Mm.
this? I know nothing about any of that, right? So you talk about somebody who just stepped out of a whole thing and understood what God was doing, but I didn't understand the language. And so I was sitting there. He said, "There's more for you." And then he would say, "You're going to get laid off." And I'm like, "Yes, I know." That was not nobody I know, right? That's not the reaction or response most people have. But I was like, I would sit there crying because I knew I was somewhere where I was not supposed to be. I
Yeah. And isn't
know.
that interesting? Because you're in a spot and you know, man, I'm here because I agreed to be here.
Yeah.
I'm here because this is where I am. And yet you want out.
You want out, right? And you don't know how to take out. You don't even know how to do that leap to go out because
Mm-hmm.
you're so
Mm-hmm.
complacent for so long, right? And so when he told me that, I'm like, okay. And so maybe 9 months or so later, or 8 months or so later, we get a message from our managers and they say, "Hey, we want to meet." And everybody's like, "Why are we meeting?" And I'm like, "We get laid off now." That was so
Yep.
immature. I didn't know, right? I didn't
The
understand like
exits are coming.
right. And they're like, why are you so calm about this? I'm like, because the Lord already told me, like, nah, I don't know what I'm really saying, but I understand what I'm saying. And so that was sure enough, they said you were getting laid off. And I was like, okay, Lord, I was excited because I thought that he had something more. I'm like, we about to go climb up the corporate ladder. I had gotten my MBA. I was halfway through a PhD program that I actually
Wow.
stopped at that point because I was in corporate for so long and I just felt like they were not putting any level of respect on my name. So I was just like, you know what, I'm gonna
Yeah.
stop now. And so end up leaving, getting laid off. Actually, the funny thing is everybody else took another position within the company. I was the only person that actually left.
So you
And
didn't have to leave.
they actually offered me another position later on down the line. And my manager said, "I don't think you really want to take this." And I was like, "You know
Wow.
what? I don't.
I
I don't.
don't.
I
Mm-hmm.
don't. I don't." That was my way of escape. And
Mm-hmm.
so I took the out. At the time I was doing, now mind you, I was like in the Lord, but still in the world. So I was doing these
Yes.
different stuff like that, these wind down events on, and then I stopped that and I was like, we about to be serious. I have some more time for that. And just really went and focused. And then I ended up getting like a part-time job working for a dean at a dental school. And I was his writer. I was writing all his scripts and his speeches. And he used to be a pastor. And I worked there for a year. He called me in his office, and I knew I was about to be let go from there too. And because the guy he said, "Okay, this is it. This is I'll let you do this for now, but now it's over."
Mm-hmm.
And I went in his office and he said, "Listen," he said, "I would be doing you a disservice if I kept you here.
Wow.
You don't belong here.
Mm-mm-mm.
Great, you're amazing,
Yeah.
but I would be doing it." And so I
Yeah.
was like, that was in 2017. And so I was like, "God, now what? You said you have more. I don't understand. You have more." And he said, "You do have more." He said, "What do you have in your hands?" And I
Mm.
was like, "Well, I've been doing marketing." I started doing marketing and branding in 2013. I started just freelancing. And
Yeah.
I didn't know I mean, I had a degree, I had a associate's degree in web development, but no formal training in graphic design. I just
Yeah.
could see something and I knew how to put it together. Like that was just me. And
Beautiful.
so I would do it. And he said, "You have that, use that." And so I started that. Clients started coming. Was started working with another young lady, and the Lord was like, "I didn't tell you to
Nope.
do that." And
Right.
so we're there and just started taking this thing head on for myself. And here we are. Um, how I got into the whole, so my business essentially started as web design branding. I
Mm-hmm.
love to say I had a Peter moment because I was doing brand identity for business, and then he took me to start doing brand identity for people, like identity,
Yeah.
to their identity. And so that's kind of where the confidence and all that came from because I started developing such a passion for people understanding who they were in God and what God
Yeah.
put in, and that what they have is valuable, and there's nothing that is on the low of the totem pole, because a lot of times
Wow.
when you think about people's calling, and then you think there's only five people that really matter, and that's not the case.
Yeah, yeah.
um
Oh, absolutely. You feel like, well, who am I to do this? But
right,
if you ever read your Bible, you see story after story of people that did great things for God and they had that same mindset. Like, who am I? Why would God do this through
right,
me? Mm-hmm.
right.
Mm-hmm.
Gideon, right. Like,
Yes.
Yeah, so that's kind of where we started doing that, and then people, I always think that God is leading me when there begins to be a demand, and so I started getting individuals who were coming to me who were making like $1 million, six figures, and stuff like this, and I was at a very low place in my business. I wasn't
Hmm.
making much. Had to move home, lost everything, had to move back home with my parents, and I was like, oh God, I'm
Wow.
35. What is this? Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
This is what we're doing. You pulled me out of that to put me into this,
and
and took
and
me to
tell you there's more. I have more for you.
yeah,
And then as far as counting the beans, counting the
yeah,
resources, now you
yeah.
feel like but I have less. What's happening here, God? But he was talking about not externally, internally.
Internally. Yeah,
Hmm.
he started cultivating so much more from me and allow me to contribute so much more, and providing more revelation, more wisdom. And I'm just like, I've had moments like that. And that's how I got into the imposter syndrome, is because I'm like, well, who am I? Who am I,
Oh
God?
wow.
This type of information. But yeah, that's pretty much my journey and how I became an entrepreneur. And it's
Did
been
did you did you ever struggle yourself with imposter syndrome to feel like these people think I'm amazing and I'm kind because when you're operating in the anointing, when you're operating in your gift from the inside out, you almost feel like you're winging it.
you are.
Yeah. Like this is just what I'm feeling in the moment.
Yeah.
And so you kind of feel like, what's happening here? And the imposter syndrome can really sneak in. So did you ever feel that way? Like I am not who these people think I am.
So many times, so many times. And I honestly, I remember there was multiple times that I've dealt with imposter syndrome. Didn't really call it imposter syndrome at that point, but then when I look
Yeah.
back, it was imposter syndrome. The first time was when I did lose everything, and I came out and I was doing like these blogs, and I've always had that gift of exhortation, so I was always encouraging, and
Yeah.
even at my lowest points, that's just always what was on me to do that. And so I told my mom, and my mom didn't know what she's saying. I said, Mom, I feel like I'm a fraud. That was literally what I said. I said,
There
I
it
feel like a
is.
fraud.
Yes.
I'm trying to encourage these people and I need encouragement. And she said, well,
Hmm.
maybe you should stop. And I was like, well, maybe I should. She didn't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But she was thinking more about my well-being versus
Hmm.
anything else. And then um, even speaking to those clients when I was at the lowest moments, I would sit in my car for 12, 14 hours a day because I didn't want to be at home with my parents because it was a different situation. Love my
Yeah.
parents. Where they
Yeah.
live is not where I wanted to be. So I would sit in my car and here are these six-figure making people, calling me, asking me for advice on how to run their business and coaching. I'm like, I'm sitting in my car.
Yes. That's what
But
I'm thinking. I need a Selah moment right there
right,
where you're
okay.
sitting in your car giving advice to people who could probably buy that car 3 4 times, you know, and they're asking you, what should I do?
Yeah,
How do I handle this? Am I
yeah.
seeing this properly? These are
Mhm.
some of the questions I deal with as a coach. Am I seeing this right? What should my response be to get the results I want? All
Yeah,
of those things. I mean, that is talk about a setup for
a,
imposter syndrome.
a complete setup.
Hmm.
And having the answer.
Yes,
Not even
there it
really
is right there. Because you
having
still
the
had
answer.
the Lord knew I'm giving you a gift of wisdom, and I've already given you this gift of exhortation.
Yeah,
Because one of the things we know as coaches is most people have what they need on the inside of them. That just like a coach coaching someone playing baseball, you wouldn't be on the team if you didn't have the gift, if you didn't have the talent. I'm just coaching you how to leverage what you've got to
absolutely.
get the results you want. Hmm.
Exactly.
Absolutely. How
Exactly.
amazing. So
Yeah.
how you're not in the car obviously now because you're not talking to me from a car.
I'm not.
Come on.
Right. It was a setup. Okay. God knew what he was doing in those times. I'll just say that. So
Yeah.
he took me from one place. I always say he took me from glory to glory and faith to faith. Cause I mean
Yeah.
that happened. And then 2017 pushed in and I'm sorry, 2020 pushed in. And when I tell you my business went crazy, um, it was only a God move. I moved out my parents'
Yeah.
house. I bought a new car. I moved into a new place, and I was just like, okay, so long, sayonara, right? And God just kept being God, just kept showing up, with me,
Yeah.
those valley moments with me on the mountaintop. And so it's just been an experience. But I mean, I'll speak of one more experience that I had, because this kind of speaks more to like just gifting. But
Hmm.
I was asked, this was actually the catalyst that started me writing. I've always been a writer, but like saying, okay, I can write these books. But
Yeah.
I was asked to do a book on prophetic ethics. And
Mm.
I was like, okay, I'll write it. And then I started reading more about it. I said, I'm not doing this book. Choose somebody else. Go find somebody else.
Why did you come to that conclusion?
Because I was like, me? I can't. I mean, I hear from God. Absolutely. I know what he said, but I can't.
Yeah.
It's people that's been in this thing for 20, 30 years. You know,
Ah.
they've been crushed. They've gotten the anointing. They've been trained. I don't have a title. I don't,
Yeah.
how can I do this?
Yeah.
How would you choose me to do this? And so the lady called me and she says, hey, are you still writing? And I said, no, here, you know what? No, I'm not doing it. She said, actually, you are, because I know
Oh,
God gave me your name, and you're going to write on imposter syndrome in the prophetic. I said, now, wait a minute. Now, wait a minute. And I
yeah.
knew,
Don't add to it. She
right?
had that. She went old school on you. Before I take it back, I'll add more to it.
She sure did. She did. And I promise you, I sat there. I hadn't really been familiar with the terminology. I studied it. I researched everything.
Yeah.
I thought about my own experiences, and I said, my God, this is
Yeah.
the thing. I've dealt with this, and I'm dealing with it writing this, but I'm gonna write it,
Yes.
because you said if I start something, I can finish it. So I'm gonna finish this thing, and I'm gonna learn from it. And that is what started me on this imposter syndrome, because I realized how it can be such an enemy and a hindrance
Yes.
to people. And
Yep.
it really hold people in bondage, because you know who you are, and despite the evidence of what you've done or what God has said you are, you don't think you can do it.
You don't think, what do you think is the greatest damage? What's the greatest damage or potential damage if we linger too long in imposter syndrome?
Well, one, you're gonna forfeit your calling, your destiny, but you're not
Wow.
just forfeit yours. You're gonna forfeit other people's. I had a dream.
Okay. Okay.
I,
This idea.
listen, I had a dream once. I was on a Porsche, and there was an 18 wheeler on its side, and because it
Mm,
was trying to turn a corner, and
yeah.
as it was going in a narrow corner, it turned on its side, and there were cars honking their horn behind it because they couldn't get by. And so I knew
Wow.
the Lord says, I got off my Porsche in the dream, and I helped me and two other people help that truck get off of its side, and it went on,
Wow.
and not all the other trucks, and that right there has been like something that has continually just went through my mind. I'm like, okay, not only am I assigned to this, but that right there, when you ask the question of what is the biggest issue that can result from imposter
Yeah.
syndrome,
Yeah.
it's the people that are attached to what you do and connect
Yes.
your yes and your obedience, that need to get through by way of the path that you go, and by way of the bridge
Yes.
that you create, that now they can't get over the bridge because you're just sitting on your side, right? They were watching. They're watching you. They're seeing you go through and take the narrow path, but when you turn over, they're like, well, I can't do it either.
I can't
And
do it either. Because
yeah,
if you can't make it through, I can't make it through. And I also in this dream, the honking, the horn, the urgency. And so you're delaying, you can, this idea of forfeit, probably one of the most scariest words to me. Because a forfeit is not about I tried and lost.
yeah,
A forfeit is I didn't even show up for the game. I
try.
didn't even swing at it. I didn't try. I didn't give God anything to work with.
Yeah,
I just didn't show up. I forfeited. And the idea of I forfeited my destiny. I never got there.
we got
Like
there.
I forfeited the place I was supposed to go. And I think that many times when bad things happen to us, we say, why me? When God is trying to do something good through us, we say, why not them? Why not somebody else? And we don't realize, man, that if we can get ourselves off our mind and think about what good could God do? Not just for me, but for other
Yeah,
people, if I actually
showed
believe.
up. Yeah, if I believe.
Yeah. If
Yeah,
I actually just believe and say, you know what, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna go for it. And so to have somebody like you to say, hey, this is what I see in you, and it's there. Just
yeah,
what I love about your story and your journey is that the Lord processed you. I'm a big believer of process before placement.
yeah,
And so what I'm hearing in your story is your process of taking your losses as if they're wins. I'm being laid off. Woo, yeah.
Right.
It's all the so that even though taking your process, doing what you don't think you can do, pushing through regardless of your environment, sitting in a car, but I'm still gonna be me.
Yeah.
And so all of those are such strong leadership, like you have a leadership gut, you know, you have
Yeah.
leadership courage. And I think that those were things forged in you where you may not have even realized that was what God was doing.
And I didn't. I'm like, wait a minute.
You weren't like, see, the reason why I'm in this car is because I'm gonna
Yeah.
have to coach other people in the future to push
Yeah.
forward regardless of their environment. No, you were like, Lord, I'm in this car because it's the best place because I don't
Yeah.
want to be in the house right now.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And was just whatever came in those moments, I was prepared and I was willing,
Yeah,
fight. Because I mean, I know I could have literally said, no, I'm not gonna, I can't. But I just was
yeah,
I just allowed the Holy Spirit to lead me to do what I was doing in those moments. Because I used to say, I'm not leaving anything on the table. Like
I
that was
love
what
it.
I really lived off of that. Now I understand you kind of got to walk in your grace, but in that time, I needed to know what I was graced in. If I
Yeah,
never tried, I would have never understood. And so, being able to be in those moments. Now, I'm not going to say there weren't moments when I got off that phone and said, "Now, Lord, wait a minute. Now, hold
yeah.
on. Okay, wait a minute.
I'm helping them. I'm helping them make
Right.
that money. I'm helping them advance. Is
Yeah,
what can I do? Yeah, what's happening with me?
happened there with me, but I understood like there was just a level one, even one, just a level of humility,
Yeah.
and just teach. Like he was really, I was being taught. There were so many things I was being taught, but even more greater dependency in
Yes.
leading. Like, listen, you're not. I'm not that smart, right? But if you allow the Holy Spirit to lead you, baby, we can do anything.
You can
So,
do anything.
so
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, he showed me a lot in those moments, and he still does. But in those moments, those were some what I felt like the very low parts of my life.
Yeah.
And he showed up so mightily for me, and it really was amazing.
I love it. What's your greatest joy right now?
My greatest joy right
Yeah.
now. Oh my gosh. I would probably say my greatest joy right now is just walking with women. Like
Mm-hmm.
I have this mentorship group, and um it's been able to see someone me start with someone right here and
Yeah.
see the level of improvement,
Yeah.
seeing the fruit. Sometimes you don't get to see the fruit.
Right.
Sometimes you just don't. But God is a
Sometimes you just get to plow, plant, water, and
yeah,
somebody, and it maybe the fruit comes up in another season.
yeah, and that's
Yeah.
okay too. But God has allowed me, He's afforded me, and I won't see all my fruit, and that's fine. But
Mm-hmm.
in these last years, He's afforded me to see the fruit that
Mm-hmm.
I've planted and I've helped nurture in other people, and that has been such a joy. Like seeing
Yeah.
women, I work like some of the like one of the youngest people in the group is like 24, and
Yeah.
seeing her not wanting to talk, and now she's confident. I do this thing called Come on every month, and where I just it's Come, you're invited to the table, right?
Yes.
And she told her title of what she does, and she was so confident, and I wanted to cry. I was, oh my God, because seeing that transition, seeing
Yes.
just cultivate and shape somebody's confidence, it's just honestly it's so rewarding, and so
Mm-hmm.
being able to see that was just it brought so much level of joy for me in that moment, as well as the other women too. I love, I work with women from 24 to 60. I've
Yeah.
always worked with like, just vast, vast levels of women. But just being able to see that has just been a joy to know, like, okay, your work is not in vain. You are
Come
putting in the work.
on.
You are doing the work. So yeah,
Isn't it beautiful?
it is.
It's a wonderful thing.
It
How
is.
how would you do you have any daily routines or how would you advise someone that knows I got to work on my confidence? I'm shying away from opportunities. And I think there's some symptoms that you could even diagnose to say, how do I know that my issue is confidence? I
Yeah.
tell folks if you're shying away from opportunities or you're counting yourself out
Yeah.
before you even you get an idea and you have the first you get an idea and the very first counter thought is I can't do that.
Yeah.
There's some symptoms that lets us know that my confidence is low, sort of like when people have they know that their iron is low. how do you identify when you say, oh, yeah, their issue is confidence?
Yeah, that's so funny that you just said iron because I literally just went through 3 iron transfusions.
Wow.
I
Yeah.
did. And so
And I'm
actually,
sure your doctor was like, these are the markers
yeah, these are
where,
the markers.
you get midday exhaustion and you
Yeah,
get whatever, whatever. Sometimes even cravings, people get certain cravings when their iron is low.
yeah,
So
yeah,
are there markers that you can look at as a coach and say, yeah, their confidence is low?
yeah. And so for me, it's always obviously what you said, you're not taking on, but when you start self-doubting,
Okay.
you start self-sabotaging. Yeah,
Oh, can we talk about the self-sabotage?
yeah,
Can
yeah.
we talk about like I show up at 30% or I downplay, I don't speak up in meetings, or I
Right.
kind of come to the table, but I'm not going to say anything. I have an idea, but I'll whisper it to the person next to me or I'll text it to somebody else in a meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, self-sabotage, even in relationships.
Oh, for
Someone
sure.
says, hey, call me and let's meet, but you never make time for that person.
Yeah.
And this
Yeah.
could be a mentor to you. This could be someone who opens the door for you.
Yeah.
Self-sabotage means your confidence is low.
Low. It's almost like just having a fear because of previous experiences that you went through, and it's like
Okay.
you're thinking that those experiences are gonna be the same. The outcome is gonna be the
Yeah.
time. And so when you're self-sabotaging, I mean, like, obviously that's really a clear indicator because you're like, even
Hmm.
despite the fact that somebody wants to give or pour, you just
Yeah.
misdirect. You say, nope, we're going to go in another direction,
Yep.
um,
Yeah.
because and there, I think there's even just a small part in there of you that thinks I don't deserve this anyway. It's
Ooh.
how you look at yourself. And so also sometimes for me, when I can identify, it's how you speak, it's your self-talk. How are you
Okay.
speaking to yourself? And I feel I'm avid about words.
Hmm.
I really do believe that your words, can create an entire atmosphere that once you release a sound in the earth, you better be careful because you
Yes.
might just see that thing showing up at your door and wonder why it's here because you weren't.
Yes.
You're going to be a good steward of what you say.
Hmm.
And so when I start seeing individuals talk about, I don't think I can do this, or I can't do that, or I shouldn't get that anyway, or I'm too old for this. Who said about whose standard? Who told you that?
Yes.
Those are the types of things that I say, okay, they need to be their confidence needs to be reframed. You,
Yeah. Yeah.
your mind needs to be renewed,
I
because
love it.
the way you're seeing yourself is completely out of alignment with the design of God and how He created you.
Hmm.
You're seeing out a whole different set of lenses, and it's not.
Yeah.
So
Are
yeah.
there ways that you or things you give people that help them build their confidence?
Yeah, so for me, I'm always calling my anybody I'm working with. I want them to assess what they've already done because I feel like too many of us we're looking at all the grandiose things and we're not seeing just those small indicators that says, man, I just made a step.
Wow.
They're looking at they're looking one where there's comparison, right? So we're looking at other people what they're doing, but you're not seeing just the boundary, the metron that you're fluently and consistently operating that you're not even giving yourself credit for, right?
Yeah.
So just the small steps. Like, can we take a second to congratulate ourselves, to celebrate ourselves
I
just for the
love that.
things that we've done,
You know what it
and
reminds me of? As you're on your journey, sometimes people wait till they get, well, when I get there, pardon me, when I get there, then I'll celebrate.
yeah,
But we don't realize that having those celebrations along the way
yeah,
actually generates more energy
exactly,
to
exactly.
help you get there. And I love this idea that it also generates their confidence. So really shining the light on what you've already done. That's a good way to build your confidence for the future.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And I also speak to my clients a lot about their style.
Ah,
And and also, well, I'll say your style first, and then obviously knowing that your confidence in God should be your number one.
yeah.
Because He says that in your weakness you can boast, right? Because I'm
Yes.
show up. And so even when you don't feel like you got it, we know that He gonna show up if you really believe His character, right?
Yep.
Um, but for me, I also believe that when you feel good and you look good and you feel good about how you just, you know what I'm saying? I feel like there's all that also helps position you in another place of your confidence. Like, how many times have you lost 10 pounds and you feel like you can just go and do anything, you know?
Don't
And
talk to me. It's like, do you know what I just did? Yes.
right. And so I'm always speaking, like I just recently I just took a client out shopping. She wasn't used to being like super feminine, and she
Yeah.
feminine and she wanted to feel good about herself, and so we went out shopping, and it was like it was a confidence styling session. And so as we're
Yes.
and I'm styling and getting her stuff that she would have never chose for herself, I'm just like, man, you would look beautiful in this, and girl, I can't wait for you to wear this here when you're walking in this place and when you're doing this like this, you know. Because I realized, like, when you really just feel good and you're making that investment in yourself, it changes things.
It really does. It
Yeah.
makes so much sense. I love that your life is so aligned. I'm so happy you got laid off because I love that the Lord has given you, and you're an example for so many people that you can gain resources. You can take your passion, your gift, your audience, and the Lord can sustain you, make you wealthy in what you do. And that this idea of not just I like facilitating your dream, but also building your confidence. So as the dreamer, and then
Yeah.
being able, really, I think for fashion and how you show up is, for me personally, it has to do with having the courage to show the world who you really are
Yeah.
on the outside.
Yeah.
So on the inside, you might be, you feel like you're strong, but on the outside, maybe you dress a little muted. And then you would take somebody who's strong and say, well, let's give you a bold royal blue and let's throw
Yes.
on a
Yeah.
splash of something metal. And you know what I mean? Let's show the strength. So I love this idea of building someone's confidence to a point where now you're going to show the whole world who you are.
You are. Yeah.
Now you're going to show up dressed like you.
Yes. Yes. You're gonna let that boldness and that courage sit on the seat of your heart, and you're gonna exude it. It's gonna come.
Yes. I
It's gonna.
love it.
And when you and I, what I've noticed was when they walk, when you start changing just how they look on the Esther, because we also took her to do makeup.
Yeah.
It starts coming out. Your facial expression
Yes.
changes. Your movement
Yes.
changes. You know,
Yep.
you start walking a little bit taller. Your head ain't
Sure
down.
do.
It's just
Yes.
it's just such a difference. And so I mean, it really, and it's a blessing, to
I
see
love
that.
it.
Yeah.
I think one of the things your clients go through closets and throw stuff out, because one of the things I love to do, and I have a significant birthday coming up this year, is go through and ask myself, not does it still fit? Does it, is it quality? But I'll ask myself, is it still me?
Yes.
Is this
Yes.
still who I am? Is this still who I want to, how I want to show up?
Mhm.
And it's helping me to, that's why I think sometimes closet cleanouts can be a little bit emotional.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
say, is this still me? So, man, this has been so good. I absolutely love what you do. I'm so
You.
happy to have met you. I want to keep in touch with you. And for everybody else that wants to keep in touch with you, where can we find you? I see you're everywhere. We're going to put all your socials, including YouTube. I think YouTube will be fun. So we're going to put all your socials in our show notes. Our producer will do that. And your website is Emerge with Live. Is that correct?
Yes, emergewithlive.com.
Emergewithlive.com. And all this stuff will be in the show notes, including her formal bio. So you guys can follow her and get to know her. But if you are self-sabotaging, avoiding what could be meaningful connections,
Yes. Yes.
not showing up as your true self, hiding who you are or hiding your strength, you got a confidence issue.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
you got a confidence issue.
Yeah.
And connecting with God and connecting with the right audience, the right people around you, the right circle of friends can really help lift that. So, any final words for someone who's listening to all those symptoms and they're saying, "Yeah, that's me. I got a confidence issue." Any final words for them?
Yeah. I would just say, one, it's time to get up. It's time for
Don't
you.
wait. I love that.
No,
Number
time,
one,
it's time to
your
just get
time is
up.
right now.
Yeah, it's time to get up. Pick yourself up and put yourself in another place.
Okay.
Contribute, and just really get down to the roots
Yeah.
of whatever it is that you're dealing with. Find and identify the roots, because if you don't cut the root out, it's gonna keep growing even deeper. And if it's
Yeah,
not fear, or if it's not self-sabotage, it's gonna show up as something else.
I
And
love
so
it.
get the healing you need, cut the roots out, and give what God has given you, because He did not leave you empty.
I love it. He
Yeah.
did not leave you. You have some, especially when you said get in a different place and make a contribution.
Yeah.
That's a whole different brand of advice than go somewhere with an empty cup.
Yeah.
It's go somewhere, make a contribution. And I think that when we can contribute to anyone else's success, it does build our confidence.
Absolutely.
And if you've
Absolutely.
got either some people have never had it for whatever reason, some people have had it and lost it, but you're not going to move forward really without it. So you can live boldly, live confidently, make a contribution wherever you are. My darling, thank you so much for being with me. It's been
Thank
a
you so much.
tremendous honor,
Thank
and
you.
I love you. I'm going to follow you on Instagram so we can keep in touch.
Amen. Thank you so much. It's been a blessing.
Catch me on social media at PR The Builder. Visit me online at pamross.com. Catch you next time.